Kupo Moogles, it's Schwantz27 here to recap the very first week of our latest event, the Flashback Battle Royale, where the participants relive flag sets from the past 5 years of Worlds Collide action. Each week, a set number of participants are culled from the ranks based on their finish for that particular seed, and in the end, there can be only one Flashback Battle Royale champion. Alongside the event seed, the seed of the week has been updated to include the actual seeds from the events of yore, and this week we got the Moogle's first tournament finals, which was won by the most recent Megalixir Ultras League champion Gar over Cosbot. The spoiler room even contains a VOD of the race and the original results, so be sure to complete the seed of the week each time during the event to see how you stacked up against the runners that first ran it. Before we break down the seed, let's check out the options for the Moogle's first tournament flags, which include a Kefka Tower skip with 9 characters or 12 espers, no check option here as that was introduced at a later time, and some quest objectives for high tier items in case you don't get anything juicy during your initial looting route. Given that these are a bit of a beginner set of flags, there are buffs to experience gain, character stats, items in chests and shops, as well as espers with them able to be summoned multiple times per battle, original MP values for all spells including Ultima, and restoring the undead property to bosses so you can just revivify or phoenix down to get out of trouble in a hurry. Prior to the advent of the customizable rewards, the item pool has the standard set, and there are no objectives to upgrade any of the character abilities here either. The seed itself gave a start with Health Setzer, Sortek Strago, and Gogo, and runners who immediately made their way to Setzer's free check at Collingen in the World of Balance were rewarded with a lowly Magus Rod, but the real prize was the Experience Egg sold in the item shop of all places. Starting with Warpstones, it was a bit more palpable to go into the Zone Eater check that had Sketch Mog waiting for us on the end. On the quest to open up enough chests for that money to get that egg, there was 20,000 in returners, as well as Ice Rods for cheap in World of Balance South Figaro, and some Super Balls in World of Ruin South Figaro. Those that chose to take that disposable offense into the Burning House for levels, unfortunately, ended up running into a boss Dullahan that could absorb those Ice Rods, but you did get Starlit. If you instead went for Fanatic's Tower, you had to deal with Poltergeist at the top for an Esper at the bottom. So this just tells me I need to stay away from Strago's checks. Got it. Golden Shocker, however, opted for a fast boss fight, so clicking the Search the Skies button gave Leader, which is too easy for a first boss, rewarding Shiva. Rounding out the Setzer checks at Daryl's Tomb was Blitz Shadow, was the first of a very long character parade for those that, after a quick stop for Siren at Gal Manor, went to the top of Narsh where Rage Sabin was the reward for Lone Wolf and Capture Cyan for Kefka at Narsh. Umaro followed at Doma Siege, and Shock Celeste was at Imperial Camp, already giving us our Kefka Tower skip before the 26-minute mark. Finally, we started to get other types of progression at Barren Falls, Collapsing House, and the South Figaro prisoner spot. In desperate need of some non-magical offense, the Coliseum was the next stop where a True Knight could be traded for an offering if you were lucky enough to not get sent straight out of the arena via Blaster. However, there was another opportunity for it at the Opera House Dragon drop. Unfortunately, the other dragons didn't give us much else to use though. More espers could be obtained at Mount Zozo, Tritok Cliff, and 2 more were in Cyan's Dream, along with Throat Edgar, which gave us enough to unlock Final Kefka. There were also 2 espers and a Valiant Knife on the Floating Continent, along with a double Gigantos XP Bonanza for those that went to a slightly longer 3-part check, and the first 2 of the Magitech Factory was just 1 esper and an Orlands. After slogging through a vast array of checks for Go Mode, Kefka's Tower threw 2 more curveballs at our runners, with the side statues being Chatternook and a French Vanilla Doom. However, with early access to Bahamut teaching Ultima or just multi-summoning the Esper itself, as well as Merton, it wasn't anything we couldn't handle. With so many possibilities for divergence in this seed, we had all sorts of final parties across the board, including Atma weapons for sale in Albrook for a few of our users, a Valiant Knife offering Sabin or Setzer or Mog, Throw with Edgar, Bum Rush for Shadow, and then Go-Go to use either one of those abilities, or in the case of Golden Shocker, a Gauntlet with a Magus Rod and Celeste of all things, really just reinforces that it's more important to be efficient with routing and fights than getting perfect builds for all of his characters, as his 1:10:32 was a full 2 minutes ahead of the second place finisher, with the top 10 times all coming in under 80 minutes. Only the top 50 runners moved on, and if you were over the 2-hour mark in this one, you unfortunately are going to be taking a stroll down memory lane where runners can complete a seed that is different from the main Battle Royale one, but with the same flag set in order to have a chance to get themselves back into the running. Week 2 is an even bigger throwback with the Coliseum Grand Finals from March of 2021. The options for this week's race are a start of a Vanilla Strago, Mog, and GP Rain Rage Gao with a Kefka unlock at 3 characters, 10 Espers, and 2 unscaled dragons, which essentially means a Magicite hunt. Magitech is unavailable, but Bum Rush can be obtained immediately if we find a character with Blitz. However, we'll probably see a lot of runners stick with parties of 3 instead of 4 this week due to the split experience option being turned on. Even with a higher than normal 7 XP multiplier, it's still less than the 3 per character that is the standard that we're all used to. The enemies are also going to be way more difficult at scaling across the board of a 3 times character Esper's Dragons with a max level of 42, as well as the normalize and distort flag to alter the boss's base stats, which includes HP and magic power, which is most often felt in the final Kefka battle, especially on tier 3 with Girl's HP and the power of Merton and Goner. On top of that, 20% of the encounters that you get into won't be runnable even with a Warp Stone or Smoke Bomb, so be careful when you take off that Moogle Charm or you hop into the Serpent Trench. Magic is slightly buffed with the ability to multi-summon Espers, however there is no ultimate to learn. Runners will start with 20,000 GP to head into the 100% random shops with original prices, but they won't find rods and sell back as a quarter instead of the usual half. And with chests being the standard 20% random, I believe we'll see a bigger emphasis on heading up different towns to look for the goodies that the merchants are hawking. It will also allow you to see if a character can use the equipment that you've got, as it is a higher original plus 50% random, with relics being original only, so no Blizzard Orbs or Rage Rings for Merton protection other than Umaro. With an older flag set, there was no such thing as a Kefka Tower skip, and the item rewards, again, were not customizable, so the standard set apply here. Depending upon how good the starting lures, dances, and rages and early espers are, we may not see many deviate from the 3 characters that we begin the game with. However, the availability of good fight command weapons in shops may dictate the builds that we see for the end game. This flag set is going to be much more difficult than the Moogle's first tournament that gave us an easy start for the first week, as with older tournaments, the flag sets tended to get very difficult towards the end of the event, which is actually the case here with the Flashback Battle Royale, checking out the schedule. But now the gloves are coming off in week 2, and I can't wait to see what the runners have for us in the coming days. I've been the Schwantz27. Until next time.